begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 9th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Madam Clerk, I do have one addition to the agenda, and I'll need Brett Starbuck up forward if he could help me with this. Yep.
Good morning, Commissioners. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a member of the 190th Air National Guard, and for the past 2 years, I've been gone for approximately 9 months for training. I've been on a 3-week training up in New Jersey, and I've been on 1 deployment already this year, as well as 6 weeks in 2011. And a couple months ago, I want to take the opportunity to nominate Alice Weingartner, as well as the Shawnee County Health Agency, as an employer that supports the Guard and Reserve. And I'd like to introduce Greg Sims, who is representative for the employee support for the ESGR.
Greg, come on up. And Alice didn't know about this, so this is a surprise for her.
It's okay if I say just a few words?
Yes, of course.
I've never served in the military. When I graduated from Topeka West in 1969, my draft number was about this big. Wow. And the people coming back from the Vietnam War were not recommending that you sign up and join the military. So I kept my grades up, graduated in 75, and of course the selective service was shelved at that point. I had a job waiting for me. So I was a lucky person at that time. Over the years in architecture, I've had the privilege and opportunity to work with many of the local and regional military people, both in the Air Force, the Army, and Coast Guard. So I've seen how they perform their duties, and I like to call our Guard and Reserve the smart half of our military, and they are half of our military, the Guard and Reserve are. But they're usually the more experienced people. They've already been out of high school and college. They've been in positions like yours where they've learned how to take leadership roles, to create goals and achieve them, and when they're put in those stressful positions in an active duty, they know what to do, and they handle themselves very well. Sometimes we get crossways between the military and the employers. Sometimes the military doesn't tell their employer everything they should when they should. Sometimes the employer doesn't understand the Uniformed Services Enlistment Re-enlistment Rights Act, which guarantees the Guard and Reservists their job when they're called to duty. And then since the year 2000 especially, our Guard and Reserve have been called a lot. I've seen some soldiers deployed 5 or 6 times, and that's usually a year or more at the same time. On the other side, the employers have a trained individual that's worked in a career, and that person gets yanked away for a year, year and a half. I mean, they're gone, basically, and you got to protect their job. You don't go down to Bosler and get a temp to replace somebody like that. You have to suck it up. You have to spread the work out. Everybody fills in, and our soldiers and sailors understand that. And we do different types of programs where we try to educate people. We do boss lifts. I don't know if any of our commissioners have been on a boss lift. Not yet. Okay, I want to get all your names on one where we will take people in positions to hire and fire soldiers and sailors, and we'll fly them on a Black Hawk to Fort Riley for a day, and they get to do the simulators. And sometimes, if we're lucky and the 190th has a flight, we can take them for 3 days to San Diego, Seattle, San Antonio, where all of the 7 SEALs are, and they get to see what a lot of the different Guard and Reserve units do in support of our active military. And they come back a little more appreciative of the fact that these people are very highly trained to do their job and protect us. So, but we have these awards programs too, and the first award that we give out is called a Patriot Award. Patriot Award is where the soldier or sailor nominates their boss or supervisor for a Patriot Award for their support of them. That usually happens because you've gone above and beyond just exactly what the law says. You don't care, you're gonna give that little extra effort. You're gonna support them while they're gone. It might be making up the difference in salary. It might be checking in on their spouses or making sure their spouses and families are included in activities of whoever the employer are while they're gone. Could be sending them goodie bags overseas, emailing them, you know, just keeping in touch because they're in a tough position. You think it's hot here. Put on 60 pounds of gear and go out in 140-degree weathers in Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's hot. So the first award we give out, and I think Shawnee County has received several of these awards over the last 8 or 9 years, Commissioner Bueller, various levels, is Patriot Award. And Brett, I'm going to let Brett read this nomination. Or can I read the nomination? Okay. I have been employed with the Shawnee County Health Agency since 2006. For 4 years, I was directly supervised by Alice, and indirectly the past 3 years. She has always supported my military career. When I needed to go on 2-week training or 1 or 2 days here and there, 2012, I switched my career focus and became an intelligence officer. Did you know he was an intelligent person?
That's what I do. It doesn't mean I am.
Okay. In April that same year, I took initial training, took me away from my hometown in San Angelo, Texas for 7 months. I am not ignorant to the fact there's probably some frustration, but together we built a plan to cover my, and see, that's why we worked together to build a plan to cover his butt while he's gone, right? Okay, thank you. My workload while I was away for the extended period of time. Since returning, I have had to attend 3-week training in New Jersey for operational readiness exercise. Possible deployment?
That did happen.
Okay. All of which has been supported by Alice and the health agency and extended to Shawnee County and the commissioners. I will ask Brett to read the award. And this is something you can.
Alice, why don't you come on up?
Yeah,
here,
Alice,
too.
come up here. Hopefully you can display this someplace, Alice.
Thank you very much.
You.
Appreciate it.
Hand that to you.
Thank you, Derek.
And
This is different, I'll get that.
which one do you?
That's the one.
Okay. This is from the Office of the Secretary of Defense for the Employee Support of the Guard and Reserve. And it says it recognizes Alice Weingartner of the Shawnee County Health Agency as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Force. So, there you go.
I just want to say how much I appreciate Brett. I'm going to be a little emotional, but I am a Navy brat, so I do recognize the importance of fulfilling your military obligation. And I would also say that Brett makes this really easy because he does come forward with a plan, and I'm very confident in the plans that he comes forward with of how we can cover the work while he's not present with us. So thank you, Brett. This is very nice. And it's our health agency as a whole that supports our military and supports Brett and what he does. So thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Alice.
And Allison, that award extends to you and all the other people in the county. I had a privilege of working for Ann Freeze to do a little remodel over on 10th Street for your agency. So you have great people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg, for being here. Brett, thank you for nominating Alice and the county, and thank you for your service and how appropriate to do this on the week we remember September 11th, and we appreciate all you do.
And thank you all for the time this morning.
You're welcome. Madam Clerk, the first item, please.
First item is a proclamations presentations. Number 1, recognition of Shawnee County's receipt of Best of Topeka and Northeast Kansas in 5 categories for Parks and Recreation facilities and programs.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. of not near as much significance as this last item. I did want to bring to your attention that in Shawnee County received 11 recognitions in 5 different categories in the Best of Topeka in Northeast Kansas. It's not just Parks and Recreation. Several of the items that you'll see on the list there require emergency management's help. The Shawnee County Public Works, the county clerk, the county counselor, several offices throughout Shawnee County help to get this recognition from the people who live in the county and northeast part of the state. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, congratulations to you and your staff, and it's great exposure to the rest of the state to help feature our great Parks and Recreation Department, so congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Did you want to introduce anybody else who normally doesn't come to the meetings, or is everybody pretty much? Randy's
Gloria-
shaking his head no.
Randy's here, Terry Bertles is here, they come all the time. We got Gloria Cortez, my executive assistant.
There you go.
Leonard is
Okay.
back there in the back, so.
All right. Nice
Thank you
picture
all.
in the paper as well. Thank you.
Item 2, presentation on the 2012 audit by Cochran Hedvick and Company, PA.
Good morning. I'm David Cochran, the managing partner of Cochran Hedvick and Company, and next to me is Mike Keenan. Mike is a senior manager on the engagement, and Mike spent a great deal of time up here with the staff. And we're glad to be here today. We're pleased to be here to give you some information as to what we did, what we found, what we're reporting on. And first I'd like to thank the commissioners for giving this opportunity to us to represent the people of citizens of Topeka, Kansas, and serve as their auditor, and for Shawnee County.
That's all right.
And it isn't Topeka, Kansas, but it's Shawnee County. Okay. And again, we appreciate that very much. I'd also like to thank Betty and her staff for giving us a great deal of assistance. We think Betty was the key to this engagement, and this was her first year, but we think she's done a remarkable job for the first year. I wish I could always do the same thing on the first year engagement, but she's done a fine job, and her staff done a great job, and made our work a lot easier that she was here and assisting us. And I'd like to thank the staff in the health department. They were very good, very gracious, very helpful, and we're pleased that they were here and to help us in our engagement. Maybe you have all of these documents. There's 4 bound documents, and you may not have them all down, but that we issued in connection with our engagement. And we'll at least mention all of them. Some are more important than others, but they're all important. But a little bit about our firm. We've been around since 1975, and our peer review, which we're audited, CPA firms audited every 3 years, not that we like it, but we get audited as well. And we've always got the highest ranking possible in connection with our peer reviews. And where memberships are listed there, I won't read them to you, but one important thing is 3 members of our staff, 2 of which are Mike and I, are reviewers for the Government Finance Officers Association that awards certificates of achievement in excellency in financial reporting. And we look at reports from all over the United States, and it gives us a great deal of insight into how other counties, cities, and other governmental entities report, and we're proud to do that. And it is a time-consuming operation, but we have one other member of our staff also. We're one of the few firms that's willing to permit 3 of our staff to take the time to do that, and we feel it's worth both our time and something we owe our profession as well. The staff that worked on the engagement, although it didn't take all 6 at one time, but they all 6 done something that was important to the engagement. Page 3 sets forth what we came here to do, and that's we want to answer 3 questions. Are the financial statements free of material misstatement? Are internal controls over financial reporting adequately designed and operating effectively? Did Shawnee County comply in all material respects with finance-related laws and regulations? The scope of our audit responsibilities: conduct our audit according to generally accepted auditing standards, government auditing standards, and the Kansas Municipal Audit Guide, and then the Office Management Budget Circular A-133. A whole lot of folks were looking over our shoulders. We've done our work. To plan and perform our audit to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance that financial statements are free of material misstatements. And material basically describes or means, does it make a difference? Is there something in the financial statement that could be handled in any number of ways, or maybe it's even sometime incorrectly reported? Materiality is a concept. Does it make a difference whether it was right or wrong? And we take a rather narrow view of that in governmental entities, that almost everything's material, but where we might not do that in a commercial organization. We report on internal controls over financial reporting and compliance. The scope of our audit on page 5 is audit of the basic financial statements and compliance over expenditures for federal awards. That's a single audit of federal financial expenditures. Page number 6, American Institute of CPAs, that controls how we go about our work, recommends we communicate certain matters to the governing board. Illegal acts, none came to our attention. Changes in significant accounting policies, there were several this year that were mandated by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. One was GASB statement number 63, and that changes how we report certain prepaid, used to be called prepaid expenses and accrued expenses. Now they're called deferred outflows and deferred inflows. It's primarily a concept that relates to terminology, but also there were some differences in reporting, and I believe there were some misstatement or restatements as a result of that. In adopting this, we had to restate certain things, not because they were wrong, just because they're to be reported differently now. And number 65, GASB statement number 65, went hand in hand with 63. They were both related to the same items. Number 69, we didn't think we'd so quickly have an opportunity to work with this. And Mike and I made a speech to the Missouri Auditors Association. They have an annual convention. On GASB statement number 69, that's where government combinations, disposal of government operations. We thought we were talking about something they wouldn't see often. Sure enough, we came up here and Shawnee County had a big issue there, so we were glad we'd had an opportunity to make that talk and study about it. But we'll get into that later. We had no disagreements with management, and we had full cooperation access to the books. In the summary report answers our questions. The financial statements, in our opinion, are presented fairly in all material respects, and that is considered in many cases a clean opinion, a good opinion. Report on internal control over financial reporting. We did find an internal control weakness we will speak about later if you wish. Report on compliance. We did not find any compliance issues. And our management letter contains some possible improvements in internal control and financial reporting process and future accounting pronouncements. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to serve Shawnee County, Kansas. And I'd be happy now to answer any questions that you may have.
I don't have any.
Well, Commissioner Archer may have more intelligent questions than I do, given the CPA background. So I'll let him ask his questions first and see if he gets mine.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I'd like to thank David and Mike for coming today and making this presentation. I think it's a good sign that we're moving in the right direction, and I'd like to thank Betty Griner for doing an outstanding job, not only with our audit, but our budget, and so many things I appreciate. Going through the audit report, it reminded me when I was back in school, and it's been a number of years ago, but one of the things I think that is important is the statement that management is responsible. Management is responsible for establishing, maintaining, and monitoring internal controls over financial reporting and for the fair presentation of financial statements and related notes in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. Management is also responsible for ensuring that all transactions are properly authorized, captured, and reported in the financial statements. And I think that's key. We're management, and we have an immense responsibility to make sure that we do our jobs from a financial standpoint. It's not the auditor's responsibility, it's our responsibility. So I just wanted to make that point. Again, thank you for coming today. Betty, thank you again for your service. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Archer, I'm glad you said that, by the way, because they are the county's financial statements. They're not ours.
That's correct.
There's only 1 or 2 pages in here that are ours, and that's our opinion.
Right.
And I might say from when we first came here a few years ago, there's been an immense improvement in where you were then and where you are today. And we're both glad, as the auditors, we felt we had something to do with that, but your people have done, there's been several changes, but nonetheless, over the period of time, we believe there's been a great improvement. And the first year we were here, we were early with the report, and I was a year late, and we were early from the year before. Now we're delivering it. We had our done August the 9th, and for December county, that's pretty good, but I'm sure you'd like to have it sooner, and so would we. But we believe there's been a lot of improvement, and it is up to the county to make sure that we've got something that we can audit. Right. And I'm glad to hear you say that, Commissioner. A lot of people don't understand that. And
I do.
We'll do it right.
Thank you again.
Just briefly, on the audit, one of the things you touched on was the GASB 69. Are there any recommendations that you would have for us regarding GASB 69 for the county to consider?
69 related to your connection with City of Topeka, with
Right.
your parks and so forth. First, I think, number one, that's great that there's cooperation between governmental entities. We also spoke to that in St. Louis. And it's important that I think all governments recognize the need, given the times we're working in, the budget constraints, so forth, wherever one can save monies, effort, time, do a better job. I think it's great to do that. 69 related to that transfer of parks and recreation between the city and the county. And there's several millions of dollars involved, and we would not pass any judgment on whether it's going to work or not work. That isn't our job, or the wisdom of it. We think, in theory, certainly, it's great to see communities working together. That's our belief. That's not an auditor's response. That's just a response from an American citizen and a citizen of Kansas. Probably a long answer to your question.
No, fine.
But,
Thank you very much.
okay. Thank you.
I do not have any questions. Thank you. It was a little rocky, you're right, at first, but we've come a long way. And with Betty and her staff, and certainly with all of you, we appreciate it a great deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 2, unfinished business. Number 1, consider first and second alternate voting delegates.
Cindy.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Would it be all right if I address a few items on the audit?
Of course, of course.
Betty Griner, Financial Administrator. I would just like to address a few items. As Mr. Cochran had mentioned, the report date is August the 9th for this report. That is the earliest since 2005. The audit finance staff has worked very hard over the years to continually improve this, and they made big strides this year to do that. Simon Martinez, who's in my deputy financial administrator, was their direct contact for the audit and did a very, very good job on working with them and keep this moving along. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the recommendations they have made and kind of our plan to address those. To start out, I wanted to say the prior year recommendations, there were 7 recommendations from prior years. 4 of them have been implemented in the last year. 1 was determined that no change was needed, and another one has been implemented since the audit was completed. There was only 1 that was really repeated from last year. Again, the staff has worked very hard to make these changes and to get these improvements done. The current year recommendations, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the financial reporting processes and the internal controls that he talked about. We are in the process of completing an accounting policies and procedures manual. That is one of the things that they have recommended over the last 2 years that I know of. That will document the policies and procedures for accounting, financial reporting, and internal controls. That we are targeted to have completed by the end of this year. We are also going to work with better coordination with the other departments for year-end information so that we can get our year-end accruals and our reconciliations done on a more timely basis, and that requires, coordinating it with these other departments. So that's something we're working on. We also have made great strides this year on the reporting and reconciliation of our grants, and that is something that Sarah in my office has worked with Simon and others on our staff to get that done. We are now starting a quarterly reconciliation on that, so that if there's issues, we know it throughout the year. It's not waiting till the end of the year to get these things resolved. And then, as we have talked before and during the budget time, I presented that we really hope to expand our internal auditing, and that is something that will help all of these areas. We will evaluate the internal controls with each department as we audit that. We are currently evaluating internal audit programs that would, specify exactly the steps we would take with these internal audits. And then regarding the future accounting pronouncements, that was another item that we need to keep abreast of the changes on that. We will do that through continuing professional education opportunities as we see them come along, and seminars. We will, of course, due to our budget constraints, we will look for local or close by seminars, but there's always opportunities if you look for them, and then other training and resource items that may come along. So, do you have any questions for me on kind of our plan? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Now, next item.
Item 2, unfinished business. Number 1, consider first and second alternate voting delegates for the KAC annual conference.
And it's come to my attention that Rich Eckert and Allison Lejos will be attending the conference as well, so I would make a motion to appoint Rich as first and Allison as second alternate voting.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are questions on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, this morning we have one set of voucher payments dated September 6, 2013, total amount of $443,161.77, and I'll make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve the vouchers as presented by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item B, County Treasurer, number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2013-120, authorizing the County Treasurer to cancel and reissue a check.
Morning, Commissioners. Vernon Law, Shawnee County Treasurer. We have before you a resolution to cancel a check. It's an NRA check. Was issued in June, was never received or cashed. It's been canceled, or stop payment has been issued. $10 fee has been paid. No request to return that $10.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, Audit Finance, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 422-2013 with Computer Information Concepts, Inc., CIC, Inc., for the purchase of a new tax system software package for $381,895 and hardware for the software not to exceed $60,000, with the first installment of the software of $190,000 to be paid from the Land Records Fund. Also authorization and execution of contract C 423-2013 with CIC Inc. for license of software, contract C 424-2013 with Allied Technical Consultants for license of software, and contract C 425-2013 with CIC Inc. for annual maintenance.
Betty Griner, Financial Administrator. We are here, I am here as the Chair of the Tax System Committee, requesting your approval for a new tax administration system. I'd like to go, especially for the benefit of the new commissioners, kind of go through the tax system. And all of this information is in my memo, but I'll kind of hit the highlights of it.
Okay.
The tax system starts with the county's property records. It applies the appraiser's assessed values to each property. It then applies any ownership changes from the Register of Deeds office. It applies the county clerk's tax levy to those properties. It calculates and prints the tax statements that go out to the taxpayers. It records the tax collections through the treasurer's office. It calculates and processes the distribution of those collections through to the different taxing entities, and then it calculates any principal and interest on delinquent taxes. So as you can see, it encompasses, the pretty much a lot of the county's departments. And in August of 2011, a tax system committee was established, and they were charged with evaluating the needs for a new Shawnee County tax software system and making recommendations to the board regarding the same. Membership of the committee includes every department head that this software will affect. The financial administrator is the chair, the county clerk, the treasurer, the appraiser, register of deeds, the IT director, and then 2 other IT employees that are very involved and familiar with the tax software. The current tax system software that we have is on the IBM mainframe. As you just voted on Thursday of last week to change that over to this new virtualization platform, this is a big part. This is the largest software on that mainframe. So it is imperative that we get this moved over. It's not a matter of, we cannot move that software onto new hardware or onto this new platform. It will require new software to do that. I just wanted to point out that in 2012, 78.5% of the general fund revenue comes from taxes. So it is just imperative that we have a good, dependable system for this tax. The tax committee, which, as I said, started back in 2011, started looking at all of the different options. We started out with 5 options. I think there's a chart that you have on those 5 options. It was determined that one of the options was to develop the software in-house. It was determined that that was not possible to do. Our IFAS system, we checked to see if they had a tax system, and they do not have a product available now that we could even look at. There was another vendor that we ruled out because they do not have any users in the state of Kansas. As you know, property laws are by state, and to look at a vendor or a system that did not have any customers in the state of Kansas, we would be their guinea pig, and that would take, time, staff time, that we just don't have at this point in time. We also have, somewhat of a time crunch that we have to look at with this mainframe. So we narrowed it down to 2 effective options or possibilities. These 2 vendors had given demos in the past. We asked them to come back and give us current demos. 3 of us, 3 department heads, were new, and so we felt like it was important that they come back and do another demo for us. And during those demos, we also brought in, besides the committee, we brought in key personnel in each of these departments that really use the software, so that they could ask their questions and really look at make sure it met all of our needs, and that we didn't have, problems that came up down the road that we hadn't addressed. We also, many people on the committee talked to other counties. Several of them in the past had visited other counties that looked at their systems, and were able to ask them candid questions, about how their systems worked. The proposals, we received proposals from these 2 software companies. Those were reviewed by IT and the committees and any other, we went back with questions and those kind of things. Based on all of these factors, the committee unanimously recommends that we purchase the CIC software package. CIC will give you a little presentation in a minute. Their software package will cost us $382,895. Now that is $1,000 more than is on your comparison. That is because IT thought it was important to have an agreement that they will escrow the code for this software. So should this company go out of business or, not continue to support this product, they would have access to the code should we need it. That is $1,000 that is added to that. That's why there is a difference there. CIC has agreed to finance this over a 3-year period of time and 3 equal payments for 0% interest. And hardware, of course, would need to be purchased at the time. This will be part of that virtualization platform. IT and Pat have estimated that the hardware would not exceed $60,000 for this. The tax system committee then went to the land records committee to request that they fund the purchase of this. And Becky Neosi will address that from the land records committee after we have the CIC presentation. So I would like to introduce Pam Meadows from CIC. She's going to give you a little presentation on the company and their system.
Welcome.
The handout contains a PowerPoint presentation, just so you have it to take home.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Pam Meadows, and I've been with CIC for 16 years. And we appreciate the opportunity to come before you today and talk to you about our tax administration system. I'm going to quickly move through here. The CIC has been in business for 31 years. Our home office is in Greeley, Colorado, and we currently serve over 500 counties and municipalities and school districts in 17 states. We are Kansas Strong. This is what I call my Kansas Strong PowerPoint. The individuals that you see around there represent the 19 people that we have that support the system that live within the state of Kansas. Along the side there are the remaining staff that work with the counties that are located in Greeley. Now, of course, at one time, all 40 people aren't working just for the one county, but there are deep enough resources to handle the job. We do have assistance that we provide counties 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And believe me, there are people that work on weekends and at night. This slide shows you the core piece of the accounting system and all the little pieces, real estate, personal property, and so forth that's included in the application, as well as this piece over here, which is the HECI motor vehicle. That piece is takes the motor vehicle transactions from the state, pulls it in, verifies it, and then we are able to do distributions from that piece. Okay? At the bottom here, it also works with Orion, which is a state property valuation that sets the real estate values. Any GIS system, which is your mapping. Quality mailing assurance is a piece of that when you put an address in, it verifies with the postal system that it is a good mailing address and corrects it if it's not, and therefore, addresses any return mail items that you might have out front. It works with the registered deed land records, and there's a portion of this that of our price that lets us interface with your federal system that you have. The accounting software, which is your receipts and refunds and distributions that would come from this system, our price includes allowing it to pull information from our system into your IFA system. And the last thing, it also works with the movers, the motor vehicle in Kansas. I should have backed up once. That product that I'm talking about is in 25 counties already running in Kansas. And the biggest thing I can tell you about is a system that was developed by Kansas officials. It's not a tax system that was developed in another state and brought here. It was developed here. And the company that I work for, we've been in business doing taxes in Kansas for 17 years. This is a new platform one for us, and it runs in the other 25 counties. And one neighboring your side would be Wyandotte County. Okay. One of the core things that we'll do is a transition planning meeting. We'll meet with the people involved in the project, all your department people. We will talk about a data translation and determine what data we need to translate. We'll talk about installation, installing it, and your training of what staff. And we'll focus on key events that happen throughout the tax cycle. The data translation, I think the main thing I can tell you is we start with a copy of the data, and it's very core that we have Pat and Randy and Shane that know that system can help us translate the data into the new platform very easily. We'll do as many translations as needed to get it right. Usually we can hit it the first time, but if there might be one piece we need to retranslate, we will. We work with your staff, which is the IT guys, and of course the end users. But the biggest thing here is your staff is trained in their data, not someone else's data. Okay. On top of that, this slide just shows you that we have a proven way of training, and this is just one little piece of the application. And you'll notice along the side there are codes associated with every task. That's a copyrighted piece we actually have, as we train by task. This is what you need to do, and these are the steps you do it in. And our support comes that way, our training comes that way. So we track by each one of these tasks how many users we need to come in. We know how to train that piece, and it's a very unique piece of how we do our training. Again, the people will put support calls in. And I think it's important for me to relate this to you because what I'm replacing is the Shane and the Randy and so forth that's here in your building now supporting your legacy system. We're going to be doing that as a company from now on, should you do this. But anyway, I think it's important that you realize that they can get to us, and they set the priority of their calls as immediate, which is a customer down, they can't go any further, we have to help you immediately. A high priority, we call you back within 2 hours. A normal priority is 4 hours, and a low priority would be an 8 hour. And we do this, and throughout their support call, there's interaction between the person who placed the call, email activity, and so forth, until it's resolved. And the application itself, this is a copy of the application. At the top, there's a button that says instant response. They push the button, and they're able to log the call from the screen they're in. It captures information about what version they're on, and also what tasks they're doing. So again, we're tracking it from that level. This is our support queue and how we track. So anytime I have history on any call given, the actions that were taken and so forth. So we track the activity, and we can determine that we've gotten 4 or 5 calls on this same thing. Maybe we need to retrain this one thing. You know, somebody didn't catch something somewhere. We got something going on. So we use that history very well. With that being said, our objectives are very high. Our people hit these objectives very well. And 15% of our calls come in over the phone. 52 are from using the application to log it. We use WebEx as a desktop to allow us to connect to their computers and help them through it. And we do about 32% of our calls that way, and 1% of our calls are on site. I started with the company, 100% of our calls were on site. So technology has let us move along. The good thing I can say is our objectives are to call them back. We're currently at 26 minutes is our average callback time, and our average resolution is 57 minutes. And those are some pretty high standards for us and any company to meet in the industry. And that's company-wide. It includes all of our cities, our counties, and our schools in all states. Okay? So we don't get 14,000 calls from Kansas counties on tax. Don't misinterpret this slide. So, with that, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of CIC. And this is our team that we'd like to move forward and work with Shawnee County. So, are there any questions? I know I rushed right through that.
No, that you didn't. It was very thorough. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Are there questions? No? Yeah, Mark, you have,
I have a question.
can you come on up to the podium?
How are you handling the recent changes in the statutes dealing with locally and state assessed trucks and boats? And how's that affecting your clients?
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Betty.
We stream and so.
Well, as we all know in Kansas, there's nothing that stays the same except the wind.
Mhm.
And the laws change, and we have to change with them. And the question on the commercial rolling equipment and traveling equipment, those, I think we're still waiting on the state for some direction. We've had them at our recent user symposium, the middle of August. We had 3 state representatives or state officials come in and talk to our user group. And our user group asked questions, but there were still more. They have to come back with us. So we don't know all of the rules on that, but we do know it's going to come through motor vehicle, into our motor vehicle part of our application on the semis, okay? And on the boats have changed classification in Kansas, and we're moving those into a different property class, and basically moving them from whatever schedule they are now, Mark, into a different schedule so we can handle them. And some of them are as a unit and some are not, is our direction that we've got now from property valuation. But we plan to have all those changes in place by the first of the year. No cost. It's included.
Okay. Thanks. Larry, did you have a question? Sorry, Becky, I know you're late.
I don't have a, Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. I don't have a question, but I do want to address the commercial vehicle. State of Kansas is in the process of implementing a totally new software for all commercial vehicles that will go online on January the 1st. And over the 12 months of 2014, we'll be transitioning all commercial vehicles from movers into the new software and new program. So we'll start doing that. We are one of 71 counties that volunteered to do that work for the state of Kansas. So we'll be receiving our training between now and the 1st of January. We'll cut the new software in January, and hopefully it will go much better than the last cut. We're looking forward to that, and we'll have to incorporate that into this new software.
The ATCI motor vehicle piece that I talked about is something that CIC didn't write. It belongs to another company that we sell for. When we went to write that part, there was already something established in Kansas, so we used them, and we have a very good working relationship with them. And they do the large counties, they do the Johnson, the Sedgwick, and all the other ones. So actually, with the addition of Shawnee County to that core base, we're about 85% of the vehicles in Kansas would be registered through that software. So we have some strength, and they listen to us sometimes.
Sure.
So,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Morning, Becky Neosi, Register of Deeds. Just wanted to let you know that the Land Records Committee did meet and discussed this software, and as you know, the Land Records Committee is set up to recommend appropriate uses for excess technology fees that are transferred. So there's approximately $217,000 in the account, and we did recommend $190,000. That was for the first installment and the hardware. So I do want to stress that you know, we did recommend the second and third year, but at this point I can't be certain whether or not excess funds will be available. So,
Right.
any questions?
Thank you. Pat's getting up to talk.
County Commissioners, Pat O'Blair with the Information Technology Department. One comment that slipped through there was that this was going to replace 2 IT employees. I want to make sure that everybody understands that the program that we're purchasing isn't something that would replace those 2 staff members. Those 2 staff members provide tremendous institutional knowledge that we cannot do without, regardless of the platform whether we stay on it or purchase a new one. The IT individuals that we rely on right now provide the linkages between the different departments that use this software and resolve situations that occur that require somebody to know how this thing works from end to end. And that's not something that we can do without. So I just wanted to make sure that that didn't go
No, I appreciate that. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
I agree.
So, as chair of the Tax System Committee, I am here asking for your approval for these 5 contracts. IT has reviewed these contracts for technical issues, and the counselor's office has reviewed them, and both have had their changes made and have approved them as they have been presented to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if you have questions for anyone else.
I don't have any questions. You've all done excellent work. Commissioners?
I would agree that it's excellent work over a 2-year process, and I think that's probably the thing that jumps out, is that this is not something that it was started far before you got here, and you had to pick up the reins, and it's along with Larry Maw, Becky Neosi, kind of stepping into this in the middle of the project, and I feel confident with the recommendations.
I do too. I'll move for approval
Second?
of the request. Second by Commissioner Cook. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Item D, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request for emergency purchase of diagnostic tests and repairs for 2 trucks in a total amount of $11,771.67, and a request of sole source purchase of a diagnostic software program for the Cummins engines in the amount of $3,112.01.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Blockman for Public Works and Solid Waste. As mentioned in the memo, we have 2 vehicles in which we needed to do some emergency repairs on. The first one, when we discovered there was an issue with it, we had to bring it in and have it evaluated, and determined that the turbo booster in the truck and don't ask me too many details, 'cause I don't really know the details on engines, but I'm gonna tell you what I do know. These turbos have fins that essentially rotate, and one of the fins broke small pieces off, and those small pieces of these fins then were injected into the piston rings of the engine. It's essentially ruined the engine, so we needed to basically have the engine rebuilt for that vehicle. That cost was $9,343.86. The second vehicle on our trucks with some new EPA regulations, or there's a component called the diesel exhaust filter, and one of the diesel exhaust filter on this particular truck had been breached and it failed, and we needed to have that replaced to make sure we stay within the EPA regulations. These are two repairs were emergency repairs that needed to be done, so we brought them to Hoyt's Truck Center to have them repaired, and both of these expenses would be paid from the solid waste fund, which is again an enterprise fund. No tax monies would be used for the repairs of those. Third request is a sole source request. Is essentially is to purchase diagnostic equipment so that we can do the diagnoses of issues like this with our own staff, and then if we have the availability of the staff to then complete these repairs on our own. The diagnostic equipment would be for Cummins engines, which are the large majority of engines that we have on our solid waste trucks. We would purchase this from MHC Kenworth here in town. The cost of this software is $3,112.01, and then subsequent to that, each following year there would be a $400 per year maintenance of the software cost. We believe the purchase of this diagnostic software would essentially pay for itself in less than a year, and that we will be able to do that in-house with our own staff. It's not guaranteed that we can do all the work in-house, because there might be some availability issues, but we believe this should help us go quite a ways down the road. And this also would be paid from solid waste funds, again, which is no tax monies. So if there's any questions regarding these, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Tom. Other questions?
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
There is motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Dot Lakey, and I'm a member of the Barrington CERT Group. Very proud to be a member of the CERT Group. We really cherish our community and our neighborhoods and our small community, and we've appreciated all the training and future training that we've received from emergency management. I'm here today to talk about the National Preparedness Month, which is this month, and I want to share some thoughts with you about being prepared. Last week, Mr. Eric Tolbert talked to you about the hazards that we need to be prepared in northeast Kansas. As we examined these hazards, all household hazardous materials, we see that we have some control over them and can limit the hazards by completely removing them from our homes and safely disposing of them through the Shawnee County Solid Waste Management Program. Other hazards like weather is something that we cannot control or have no control over, but we do have complete control over what we do as individuals. Commissioner Bueller hit on it last week when she mentioned that there is an element of personal responsibility to preparing ourselves. In CERT, we try to protect ourselves, prepare our families, our neighborhoods, and our entire community through preparedness efforts. But then again, we must start with the individual person. If one cannot take care of ourselves, they cannot, or themselves, they cannot take care of others also. We encourage everyone to look at hazards around their homes and their community and prepare for specific hazards. Think of the worst case scenario and prepare for that. And then after that, anything else can happen. You can take care of it. So you should be prepared. Be sure to develop a communications plan and share it with your family and friends. Have an out-of-state contact you can call or communicate with. Many times people outside of the disaster area have more adequate information than people in the disaster area. Don't forget about the use of social media as a communication method also. The plan you make should be shared and should be practiced. Again, we encourage everyone to stay informed, build a kit, and have a plan. Being prepared is a personal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dot. Anything else?
Good morning, Commissioners. Dusty Nichols, Emergency Management. It is National Preparedness Month, and today specifically is Kansas Preparedness Day. They're celebrating that down at the fair. The Kansas Department of Emergency Management is down there, or Division of Emergency Management is down there promoting preparedness. And Dot hit on it, and Eric hit on it last week as well. Preparing is a personal responsibility. Identifying those hazards in your community and being personally prepared for those is key to your survival and comfort, quite frankly. As emergency management, we do the same thing on a larger scale. Within business, COOP plans, business continuity plans, all those kinds of things are required, quite frankly, to keep businesses going. So we are encouraging businesses, individuals, and anybody who happens to be subject to a risk or a hazard, which is pretty much everybody in Northeast Kansas, to prepare and get ready for any event. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for administrative?
Just want to say real quick, thank you to everyone who helped get the word out last week about our property fraud alert program. We had, and thanks especially the media, we had a tremendous number of calls to our office. 240 people signed up. We had 5 before Thursday, so that's great. I just wanted to stress a couple of the questions people had is you do have to sign up on the computer because, and I can't do it for you, there's a legal agreement, so we told people they could come into our office or go to, go to the library or something. And then, and we can walk you through it if you're not computer literate. And then, and the company will not give out emails or phone numbers. They assured me that they're a reputable company, and I certainly would not. So I just wanted to let everyone know. And if anyone would like brochures, I have some here or in my office if you'd like to put some in your office.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else?
Just that we are still taking applications for the MTAA.
We are.
Position, so if public, press, if you have an interest in being a member or considered as a member for the Metropolitan Transit Airport Authority, I would ask you to apply. Also, just want to let the commissioners know, I know that Mr. Knight looks like he's left, but I did have the opportunity to go out to Huff and Puff. It was a very well organized event. Everybody was able to get in and get out very safely and efficiently, and thank their staff for that operation.
Okay. Anything else? Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
And we do have a need for executive session for purpose of personnel and employer negotiations for a period not to exceed 10 minutes. 15 to be safe, okay. Yes, that includes you, Tom Block. That's a motion, not to exceed 15 minutes.
Can we add for attorney-client privilege as well?
We can.
Thank you.
Motion by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. No action is anticipated. All right, time, Madam Clerk. We are back in session, no action required, and we are adjourned.